Well, welcome everybody to Bible study this morning. I'll be the first to say Sue, and I forget your name.
Sandy.
Sandy, thank you. I know it takes me like 5 times, but I'll get you. So welcome. Judges chapter 19 and 20 today. Not a great look. I mean, I don't know how else we can start this out, but people acting badly, people acting as if there is no God directing them. That is where we are, right? And that's kind of where we expect to be. The Israelites are doing as what they see fit in their own eyes, and usually that's sinful. And it's setting us up for God is going to stop sending judges and going to give them what they ask for, what they think the answer is, which is a king. So where have we been? I know we've been taking a couple of weeks off. We just had the Benjamites, the Danites, sorry. The Danites have been worshiping false gods. You recall in chapter 17, they took a wealthy guy's house god and made it their own regional god. I kind of said it was like taking some guy in the Hamptons house idols out of his house and saying, "Yep, let's move them into our culture and our society." And but now we have just the next chapter here with almost a Sodom and Gomorrah-like situation. And we'll see a lot of parallels today. There are some verses today, and we're going to do some plowing to get the whole story through today. Chapter 19. Who would care to at least start us out? Joan, I see you. Joan, why don't you take through verse 19, and then I saw Pete take 20 to the end, and maybe we'll pause in the middle to make sure we're all on board with what's happening. So, Joan, go ahead and start us off with 19.
In those days, Israel had no king. Now a Levite who lived in a remote area in the hill country of Ephraim took a concubine from Bethlehem in Judah. But she was unfaithful to him. She left him and went back to her father's house in Bethlehem, Judah. After she had been there for 4 months, her husband went to her to persuade her to return. He had with him his servant and a couple of donkeys. She took him into her father's house, and when her father saw him, he gladly welcomed him. His father-in-law, the girl's father, prevailed upon him to stay, so he remained with them for 3 days, eating and drinking and sleeping there. On the 4th day they got up early, and he prepared to leave. But the girl's father said to his son-in-law, "Refresh yourself with something to eat, and then you can go." So the two of them sat down to eat and drink together. And afterward the girl's father said, "Please stay tonight and enjoy yourself." And when the man got up to go, his father-in-law persuaded him, so he stayed there that night. On the morning of the 5th day, when he rose to go, the girl's father said, "Refresh yourself, wait till afternoon." So the two of them ate together. Then when the man with his concubine and his servant got up to leave, his father-in-law, the girl's father, said, "Now look, it's almost evening. Spend the night here. The day is nearly over. Stay and enjoy yourself. Early tomorrow morning you can get up and be on your way home." But unwilling to stay another night, the man left and went toward Jebus, that is Jerusalem, with his 2 saddled donkeys and his concubine. When they were near Jebus and the day was almost gone, the servant said to his master, "Come, let's stop at the city of the Jebusites and spend the night." The master replied, "No, we won't go into that alien city, whose people are not Israelites. We'll go on to Gibeah." And he answered, "Come, let's try to reach Gibeah and Ramah and spend the night in one of those places." So they went on, and the sun set as they neared Gibeah in Benjamin. There they stopped to spend the night. They went and sat in the city square, but no one took them into his home for the night. That evening, an old man from the hill country of Ephraim, who was living in Gibeah, the men in the place were Benjaminites, came in from his work in the fields. And when he looked and saw the traveler in the city square, the old man asked, "Where are you going? Where'd you come from?" He answered, "We are on our way from Bethlehem to Judah, to a remote area in hill country of Ephraim where I live. I have been to Bethlehem in Judah, and now I'm going to the house of the Lord. No one has taken me into his house. We have both straw and fodder for our donkeys and bread and wine for ourselves. Your servants, me, your maidservant, and the young man with us. We don't need anything."
All right. So, summary. A Levite has a concubine. What is a concubine? But a wife of lesser privilege, I suppose, right? She can have kids. The kids can become heirs, but they're second-class kids, so to speak, second-class wife. Yes, this is not good. I don't know. Is it the kind of the cultural sin like we have today of people living together? This sort of people gave up on fighting against it. I don't know. Not that I've given up, but you know what I mean. Then she runs away. So maybe this is not a concubine that loves him, but he loves her. So he goes after her. You know, you kind of maybe feel for the guy a little bit. So she goes back home to Dad. Dad is delaying and delaying. I don't know. We don't exactly know what motives he's got going on here, but why leave so soon? Eventually he does. And he comes to this Israelite city where he's in the town square, but people are not really interested in helping him, which is kind of a red flag. Kind of like, I don't know, the Israelites are supposed to be hospitable to strangers, right? That's in their laws, and they're not doing this. So, a lot of backstory here. I don't know if we should really get too in the weeds here on this, but comment, question so far? Because it gets better or worse. Yeah. All right, Pete, keep going.
"You are welcome at my house," the old man said. "Let me supply what you need. Only don't spend the night in the square." So he took him into his house and fed his donkeys. After they had washed their feet, they had something to eat and drink. While they were enjoying themselves, some of the wicked men of the city surrounded the house. Pounding on the door, they shouted to the old man who owned the house, "Bring out the man who you took into your house so we can have sex with him." The owner of the house went outside and said to them, "No, my friends, don't be so vile. Since this man is my guest, don't do this disgraceful thing. Look, here's my virgin daughter and his concubine. I will bring them to you now, and you can use them and do to them whatever you wish. But to this man, don't do such disgraceful things." But the men would not listen to him. So the man took his concubine and set her outside to them, and they raped her and abused her throughout the night, and at dawn they let her go. At daybreak, the woman went back to the house where her master was staying, fell down at the door, and lay there until daylight. When her master got up in the morning and opened the door of the house, there lay his concubine, fallen in the doorway of the house, with her hand on the threshold. He said to her, "Get up, let's go." But there was no answer. Then the man put her on his donkey and set out for home. When he reached home, he took a knife and cut up his concubine, limb by limb, into 12 parts, and sent them to the areas of Israel. Everyone who saw it said, such thing has never been seen or done, not since the day the Israelites came out of Egypt. Think about it. Consider it. Tell us what to do.
All right, now we know why nobody stays in a town square, right? And why you probably don't even want to take in strangers. In my mind, I'm thinking, I got called to West St. Paul, Minneapolis, and what did people keep telling me? Well, yeah, there were riots in town, but this is not that. Our part of town isn't that bad. I wonder if that's kind of the case here. How many people in this community does it take to make a bad name, to make it unsafe? Well, at any rate, it seems like there's a pattern here, right? It's not like this just happened one night. It sounds like, this town has been like Sodom and Gomorrah for some time, and is this the under 30 guy crowd that's immoral type of thing? Certainly sounds kind of like that. She falls at the doorway. This caught me the first time. She did not respond, so this is Samuel's way of writing that she's dead, right? She's not responsive. Takes her dead body, throws it on the donkey, and takes her home. Cuts her up and sends her off. Joe, what's your thought?
It bothers me when I see the disrespect that the men of the Old Testament had for women. Up to and including Abraham when he went to Egypt and let his wife be taken by the person who was in Pharaoh's house.
I know. It upsets me that someone goes. Right. What's our worst fear?
How could he do such a thing to her?
Now, I think just that whole idea of being kind to the alien, right? The foreigner.
And being unkind to your wife.
So that's the thing too. He just went and spent 6 days or whatever with the father-in-law, and now he says, or allows it to happen that to save his own skin. Now he sends the concubine out. It seems like, oh wow, this is like a Hallmark movie. He goes back to find the love that ran away, and then he turns around and he does this. But even the guy that he stayed with, we don't know what happened to the virgin daughter. But here's my daughter and this guy's concubine. Leave my traveler alone. I think if you want to be upset that women are treated like property here, you're absolutely justified to say that this is not good. Yeah, so that's what you're starting to see. Yeah, my daughter, this concubine there. Yeah, I'm not going to stand up here and defend that, but that's what you're seeing, right? But wasn't that many years ago we had slaves treated similarly, right? Property.
He almost puts in the hierarchy of the sin of homosexuality is even higher than taking the daughter and raping her. No, don't do that. That's wicked. But yet here, so he puts almost like a degree of the sin.
Right. Yeah, is he just accepting reality? He's like, you guys are gonna rape somebody, so I'll pick the lesser of two evils. They're in a lose-lose situation, and I think that's sometimes a reality. Just because there's a problem doesn't mean that there's always a right a good answer to it and a bad answer. Sometimes there's a bad and there's a worse. Should they have just said no period and got their house burned down? Probably, right? Probably should have just taken the consequences of saying no completely, but they didn't. Yeah.
I think the sad part is that it's still going on in the Middle East today. Some of those same things are happening.
in America, with the culture coming from the Middle East, there are areas where where women have to go in groups, are not allowed at all.
Yeah, we're going to touch upon that a little bit on question 6 here. Sure, I'm still recording.
Yeah, that's new
Um,
in America.
So yeah, let's look at our questions here. The look section, Jabus. The city would be conquered by David and renamed Jerusalem. It was still held by the Canaanites at this time. Considering the outcome of this story, it is ironic that the man was afraid to spend the night in a non-Israelite city. So the editor is saying, this guy thought this would be a better place than some of the other cities. Yeah, so if this is how bad the Israelites were, you can only imagine how bad the Canaanites were. Or maybe there's just no difference anymore. I think maybe that's the point, right? It's just the Israelites are indistinguishable from the heathen. That's not good. Number 1 there, the beginning of the story sets the stage for the rest. We started out with a guy getting a concubine running away. We're not working with, let's say, you would say Boy Scouts or something, right? We're not working with real upright and moral people. A Levite, of all people, should not be taking a concubine, but I guess when in Rome, he's acting like a Roman. When in Canaanite land, he's acting like a Canaanite. So we're not saying this. The Bible is telling us this is good. The Bible is just being honest, right? So always good to remember that there are parts that are prescriptive and parts that are descriptive, parts that are, this is not God's blessing, concubines. All right, 2, after retrieving his concubine, the group set out for home. They decided to spend the night at Gibeah. Review the account of Sodom and Gomorrah. How does this account parallel that account? What does this obvious parallel make clear? So, recalling Sodom and Gomorrah in this lesson, how are they similar?
Lot offered up his 2 daughters too.
All right. Lot said, "Take my 2 daughters." Did it happen in Sodom and Gomorrah? No, it didn't, because the angel struck the people blind, right? They couldn't find the door. So God put a halt to it, but Lot kind of did the same thing. What else is similar?
Sin of homosexuality,
All right. The homosexuality.
the baseness of human sinful nature.
Okay.
A pig in a sty will definitely get dirty.
They're not gonna rape their neighbor's son, but when it's easy pickings, right? When it's some guy from a different land, he's fair game, right? Other similarities. It's at nighttime. Pick your evening and the hour. Nothing good happens after 10,
It's
11,
midnight.
midnight. You ever tell your kids that, or learn that yourself? Like, not really doing a lot of good stuff after a certain hour. Yeah. Yes.
I noted that both offered hospitality and both were an assault on the home, and the women were given as sacrifices to save the men.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it starts out at least positively for Lot and for this man saying, you know, I'll take you in. But then it ends up, with the ladies getting sacrificed or given up. So, you know, the last part there, what does this obvious parallel make clear? You know, when a nation leads the Lord, they just become ungodly and worse and worse. Again, we'll kind of talk about this in a minute, but should not surprise us that a secular nation has worse and worse problems. So the men of Gibeah go a step further than the people of Sodom. Verse 24, I noted there. Why did I note verse 24? Oh, look at wrong chapter. Yeah. So I guess they go further in the fact that they do rape the girls, you know, and the woman.
Also, a Levite was a sign of supposedly having higher morality. But it represents that the Levite had shown in this that there was a new low among the faith, among the Christians.
Mm-hmm. Amongst the believers, yeah. Yeah, so he
sunk really low.
So unlike Lot, well, I shouldn't say that. Scratch that. Yes.
So the way this reads to me is that they figured raping wasn't as bad as homosexuality because they were willing to give the girls to get raped, but the man they didn't want.
No, I think I read this as who has more value in society. So if the Levite had a male slave, I think the male slave would have just been tossed to the people. I don't really. I think that's more what's happening here. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say that this rapist crowd has respect, but the fact that they did rape the daughters and not force the issue with the Levite showed that they respected the host a little bit, right? Or at least listened to him a little bit, which is very hard to say, but yeah.
There is a servant involved here, and it said his master. So there was a male servant with him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So yeah, I stand corrected then, huh?
but he's not even mentioned.
I think they take this weakest victim. The guy, we already know he owns a knife. She doesn't own a knife, I'm guessing. They're cowards.
So, yeah, I mean, you're trying to get the mind of rapists, I guess, right? Like, why do they take a virgin over a slave and a slave boy and stuff like? It's at night, nothing good happens, right?
Yeah.
No one's thinking well, but yeah. Well, how does the callousness continue? And we're thinking of the Levite here.
The servant said to his master, more likely male.
Well, it's a horrendous way to notify Israel.
Yeah, I think that's what the editor's looking at here. He's like, so he's upset, and then he's going to cut her up into pieces and send her to the 12 tribes with a note, basically, saying this is what these guys did, who they killed. So, yeah. Well, 5, what would be the next logical step for the Israelites to take?
Come and be the police force.
Revenge.
Revenge, right? Yeah. So, the Levite is like, you don't know who you're messing with, right? You're going to pay for this.
You're not getting away
So-
with
Yeah. We got war coming. That's where we're going to pivot into the next chapter after this question. So it's easy to hear an account like this and feel self-righteous. These people were really evil. What was the root of their evil? Are we by nature any different?
Sin is a sin is a sin.
All right.
God looks at all of them. I mean, if you hate somebody, it's as good as murdering them. That's how God looks at it.
So all sin is worthy of eternal punishment. So you have to be careful to say they're more worthy than us. Good point. So, I was just thinking about our society in a sense, like, what do we see happening? I think even just going along with sexual sins, right? We have how much human trafficking going on in our country? Like, I must admit, I'm pretty naive to what's actually happening out there, but how many times have you been to Walmart and seen all the girls that were 14 years old in their pictures and now they look like this 20 years later? Gone. I mean, people's trafficked in and out of our country. I think of, how tolerated is pornography now? I turned on Family Feud the other day and it was like almost like a porn question, like what? Like, why is this on TV? I can't listen to morning radio because the DJs are talking about something perverse half the time. I tried to look up how many homosexual or transgender Lutheran pastors there are in Elka. There's no statistic out there, but it's in the hundreds of God's representatives that are running around doing all sorts of things. Yeah.
You can't turn on The Price is Right without a very well-educated biologist woman coming out saying, "There's my wife."
Huh? Yeah.
So, okay, click.
Yeah. So, I don't know, not to say that, we don't see the godlessness also happening, which is disturbing.
By sinful
And be
nature,
careful that it
that's
doesn't
us.
creep in on us.
By sinful nature, that is us, and it's only by the grace of God that it isn't.
So, the book of Judges is the theme. They did what was right in their own eyes. you know, and I think we definitely say, yeah, that's kind of what's happening today, right? It's that people are kind of saying, well, it seems right in my own eyes, or feels good, do it. Where does it lead? Well, it leads to drag queens reading kids' books, right? And that being a way to educate children about inclusiveness. I have a note here. This is what sinners become when they reject God's word. Yeah. Well, shall we get to the battle? You guys, other thoughts, questions? Yeah, this is like the cheerful section, right? I mean, it's like probably only maybe some of you will never read Judges 19 ever again, and that's okay.
If you roll in the mud, you get dirty.
Yeah. All right, so everybody's got this UPS body part, and they're upset. They're gonna come in and fight here. Why not? Sharon, would you like to read a little bit for us?
Sure. I was just gonna comment
yeah.
that in this 19, I've read this chapter before, I often wonder, you said UPS, how were these parts delivered since Israel spread all over it? It had to take days, but how it's been accomplished,
Yeah, I mean,
slave that ran around.
How many movies should I not admit to seeing? But I mean, it just sounds like the movie Seven or some sort of mob movie, right? I mean, this is like what happens in Mexico today, cartels. Yeah. I'll send you a finger until you pay the ransom, type of thing.
I think the Godfather movie shocked, everybody with the horse. All of a sudden, the guy wakes up on a horse and in his bed. It's like,
And it's such a small part of the movie, but that's what the part everybody remembers. Yeah. Well, chapter 20. Let's break it up again. Oh, yeah, you're like through through 32, I guess, and then 32 to the end. And I don't remember. I'm sorry, Sharon. Did I have you read before?
No,
You didn't? Okay.
Okay, chapter 20. Then all Israel from Dan to Beersheba and from the land of Gilead came together as one and assembled before the Lord in Mizpah. The leaders of all the people of the tribes of Israel took their places in the assembly of God's people. 400,000 men armed with swords. The Benjamites heard that the Israelites had gone up to Mizpah. Then the Israelites said, "Tell us how this awful thing happened." So the Levite, the husband of the murdered woman, said, "I and my concubine came to Gibeah and Benjamin to spend the night. During the night, the men of Gibeah came after me and surrounded the house, intending to kill me. They raped my concubine, and she died."
We didn't tell them we gave her up. This is a little whitewashed. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Yes. I took my concubine, cut her into pieces, and sent one piece to each region of Israel's inheritance, because they committed this lewd and outrageous act in Israel. Now all you Israelites, speak up and tell me what you have decided to do. All the men rose up together as one, saying, "None of us will go home. No, not one of us will return to his house. But now this is what we'll do to Gibeah. We'll go up against it in the order decided by casting lots. We'll take 10 men out of every 100 from all the tribes of Israel, and 100 from 1,000, and 1,000 from 10,000 to get provisions for the army. Then, when the army arrives at Gibeah, in Benjamin, it can give them what they deserve for this outrageous act done in Israel." So all the Israelites got together and united as one against the city. The tribes of Israel sent messengers throughout the tribe of Benjamin, saying, "What about this awful crime that was committed among you? Now turn those wicked men of Gibeah over to us so that we may put them to death and purge the evil from Israel. But the Benjamites would not listen to their fellow Israelites. In their towns, they came together at Gibeah to fight against the Israelites. At once, the Benjamites mobilized 26,000 swordsmen from their towns, in addition to 700 able young men from those living in Gibeah. Among all these soldiers, there were 700 select troops who were left-handed, each of whom could sling a stone at a hair and not miss. Israel, apart from Benjamin, mustered 400,000 swordsmen, all of them fit for battle. The Israelites went up to Bethel and inquired of God. They said, "Who of us is to go up first to fight against the Benjamites?" The Lord replied, "Judah shall go first." The next morning the Israelites got up and pitched camp near Gibeah. The Israelites went out to fight the Benjamites and took up battle positions against them at Gibeah. The Benjamites came out of Gibeah and cut down 22,000 Israelites on the battlefield that day. But the Israelites encouraged one another and again took up their positions where they had stationed themselves the first day. The Israelites went up and wept before the Lord until evening, and they inquired of the Lord. They said, "Shall we go up again to fight against the Benjamites, our fellow Israelites?" The Lord answered, "Go up against them." Then the Israelites drew near to Benjamin the second day. This time when the Benjamites came out from Gibeah to oppose them, they cut down another 18,000 Israelites, all of them armed with swords. Then all the Israelites, the whole army, went up to Bethel, and there they sat weeping before the Lord. They fasted that day until evening, presented burnt offerings and fellowship offerings to the Lord. And the Israelites inquired of the Lord. In those days, the Ark of the Covenant of God was there with Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, ministering before it. And they asked, "Shall we go up again to fight against the Benjamites, our fellow Israelites, or not?" The Lord responded, "Go, for tomorrow I will give them into your hands." Then Israel set an ambush around Gibeah. They went up against the Benjamites on the third day, took up positions against Gibeah as they had done before. The Benjamites came out to meet them and were drawn away from the city. They began to inflict casualties on the Israelites as before, so that about 30 men fell in the open field and on the roads, the one leading to Bethel and the other to Gibeah. While the Benjamites were saying, "We are defeating them as before," the Israelites were saying, "Let's retreat and draw them away from the city to the roads."
Verse 33, all the men of Israel moved from their places and took up positions at Baal Tamar, and the Israelite ambush charged out of its place on the west of Gibeah. Then 10,000 of Israelites' finest men made a frontal attack on Gibeah. The fighting was so heavy that the Benjamites did not realize how near disaster was. The Lord defeated Benjamin before Israel, and on the day the Israelites struck down 25,100 Benjamites, all armed with swords. Then the Benjamites saw that they were beaten. Now the men of Israel had given way before Benjamin because they relied on the ambush they had set near Gibeah. The men who had been in ambush made a sudden dash to Gibeah, spread out, and put the whole city to the sword. The men of Israel had arranged with the ambush that they would send up a great cloud of smoke from the city, and then the men of Israel would turn in the battle. The Benjamites had begun to inflict casualties on the men of Israel, about 30, and they said, "We are defeating them as in the first battle." But when the column of smoke began to rise from the city, the Benjamites turned and saw the smoke and the whole city going up into the sky. Then the men of Israel turned on them, and the men of Benjamin were terrified because they realized that disaster had come upon them. So they fled before the Israelites in the direction of the desert, but they could not escape the battle. And the men of Israel who came out of the towns cut them down there. They surrounded the Benjamites, chased them, and easily overran them in the vicinity of Gibeah on the east. 18,000 Benjamites fell, and all of them valiant fighters. As they turned and fled toward the desert to the rock of Rimmon, the Israelites cut down 5,000 men along the roads. They kept pressing after the Benjamites as far as Gidom and struck down 2,000 more. On that day, 25,000 Benjamite swordsmen fell, all of them valiant fighters, but 600 men turned and fled into the desert to the rock of Rimmon, where they stayed 4 months. The men of Israel went back to Benjamin and put all the towns to the sword, including the animals and everything else they had found. All the towns they came across, they set on fire. All right. So, reminder, it's always an interesting thing, like, why does he repeat himself? Like, we kind of read the same thing twice. Hebrew mind tells the big picture from 30,000 feet. There was a battle, 30,000 people died, and then it tells it from like 2,000 feet. 5,000 died here, 5,000 died here, they ran here, 5,000 more died, right? So they tell it twice. Like, get to the point, and then make all the little points after that. So that's why it can kind of get confusing. Like, you don't catch the cut. That's what's happening. The word is not repeating itself because it's in some sort of loop. Even though some details get repeated, of course. All right. The battle, you understand that. They fight a couple times, they lose, ask the Lord again. This time, God says yes. We'll do an ambush, draw the people away from the city, burn the city. They look back, they see their town burned. That's not good. They shrink in fear and run off to this rock, where I guess they kind of hid out. Comments, questions? Yeah.
I don't know why I question it so much, but the left-handed sling throwers, wasn't left-handedness something that was shunned for so many years that, I mean, even in Latin, it's sinister is left-handed, is left. So it just struck me that they were used, for good thing.
I'll phone a friend here. Anybody come across something on this? Yeah.
Left-handers had a different way to fight, so maybe these left-handers took them by shock or something, because
You're not fighting fair if I can't.
yeah,
If your sword is on the wrong side. That does happen, right? Like, yeah, that almost feels like cheating, maybe. Yeah. So, is left-handedness genetic?
I don't believe so.
I've got a grandmother was left-handed, my mom was left-handed, I left-handed, one daughter left-handed, one grandson left-handed, one in each generation.
Maybe
There you
it is.
have it.
So, maybe it's just an interesting note that we got the left-handers with us. Just like the Bible keeps telling us about people with red hair, right?
Yeah.
But they had red hair. Okay, I mean, so I think it was a trait. I mean, I was looking for like, are left-handers better at slinging stones or something? Maybe that's a part of it too. Maybe
they're
they're like,
allowed
we can't teach you to
the
fight with a sword. You're left-handed, so you guys can just be slingers. Maybe that's what I'm reading here. It's just, you got. If you're a tall guy, we'll just give you a big spear. We won't give you a sword. It's just kind of how we think. I don't know. Yeah.
This is the second time in Judges left-handedness is referred to, because Ehud was the one who was left-handed, which was to his advantage, because he was pulling out his knife and stabbing the king after it, but that the left-handedness was
So-
there too.
So yeah, is left-handed kind of a sneaky superpower? I would say so, because that's why people don't like left-handers, right? Because you're being tricky. Like, I'm watching your right hand with a weapon, and then you come around.
You shook my hand, right?
Yeah, right. That was the whole medieval
Right,
thing.
funny.
You shake hands to show that you're not coming as an enemy with a weapon.
When I was growing up, if you were left-handed, my folks switched me to right-handed, and that was if you ever watch a left-hander write, they write over it out like this, and that was more difficult than like this.
And since Hebrew is right to left, you would think the Hebrews would like lefties.
They'd be scribes or something.
Yeah, you could be a scribe or yeah. All right. Well, that's the burning question. Before the Lord at Mizpah, Israel clearly wanted to do the Lord's will. Okay, at least they're asking God. I mean, again, maybe a deeper question would be like they're coming to the Ark of the Covenant and God's talking to them. What is the, that's kind of an interesting thing. I'd like to see, is he talking to a general or a priest? I wonder if, yeah. Sometimes, they're casting lots, and that's code for God. That's translated like God's talking. But, yeah. So, okay. Notice how the Levite relates the story of Gibeon's sins to his own advantage. In what way is he responsible for the tragic events that followed? So I mentioned it earlier, he's the one that gave his wife his concubine up, right? I mean, he could have manned up and gone out there. But also, he's the one that sent the body parts to all the land.
Well, he definitely stirred the pot.
Exactly, right? I guess that's what we're getting at, right? He's become an instigator too. Why after the Lord had directed Israel to go up against Benjamin did Israel lose the first two battles and suffer so many casualties? And to compare this account with Joshua chapter 7 and 8, the account of Ai. So Joshua 7 and 8, you had them fighting, but they were losing because Phinehas had stolen some gold and silver and buried them in his tent. Why do you think they're losing now?
Testing their faith.
Testing their faith? Yeah?
Maybe their hearts weren't in the right place, maybe they spent too much time with vengeance.
Okay,
Rather than
so
looking to God for the help.
So God is definitely saying these Gibeonites need to be punished, but not with this attitude. Maybe not with your vengeful hearts. Right? You can be right in disciplining someone, but you can do it in the wrong way. So you're asking of the Lord, but maybe you're more just sort of getting a seal of approval and on your anger. And also, is God maybe humbling them too? That's the other thought. Like we're not working with the greatest of the Israelites here. Maybe they need to be humbled as well. Yeah.
I think, to Bob's analogy of baseball, 2 strikes and then the third one he gets a hit. So I think God almost is leading them to, say, it's not your ability, it's through mine, blessing you that you actually win the battle.
And that's a great point, because even after Jericho, AI kind of sets them back to principles of, we're fighting for God. And,
Well, it's sort of a slippery slope. You don't know how many of these were kind of leaning in this way, had idols in their own closet.
Very true. Well,
There was sort of a shock galvanized the people. We were going down this slippery slope too. They felt wrecked.
So a war that doesn't always go so well could be, yeah, God humbling both sides. Well, 3, follow up on the last question by looking at the method Israel used to defeat Gibeon. How is it similar? Israel defeated Ai. Don't have to, I guess, maybe just look at it here mostly. How did they win?
Ambush?
Soldiers.
Yeah.
Run them right.
The ambush, right? You flee from them, they follow you, they think they're winning, but your main force is not there. Isn't this like every good battle in Gettysburg? Didn't this happen at Gettysburg too, and other places? Any Civil War buffs in here? Always need a Civil War buff. But yeah.
George Washington used it a lot in the Revolutionary War. He would retreat, set back, and then keep drawing the enemy. And of course, the British kept marching along like, they won the war, won the battle, but actually they were losing.
Yeah, he's like, George Washington was a great general. I mean, he lost like 4 out of 5 battles. But the ones he won, he really won. Good point, yeah, George Washington, I forgot that. Well, 4 there. Why do you think the Benjamites defended the men who committed such obvious crimes? What lesson is there for us in this? So is the editor kind of implying, why fight? Why don't they just surrender? And I know why you're ticked off. It's these, group of 30-somethings that were out late at night and
They sympathized with the offenders.
you sympathized?
And their society is probably kind of in conjunction with our society. Everything becomes neutral. There's no right or wrong, and you can't see right or wrong. That's what I'm trying to say.
You Israelites are going to come into our town and tell us how to discipline our how we should have curfews and what's sinful and I mean, people get prideful about that, right?
Start accepting things that shouldn't be.
How dare you arrest our perpetrators?
Yeah. Other thoughts?
So it's a family thing, like if somebody comes in and tells you how to do things for your family and you know, I know how to do my own family, so you kind of defend your family even if you know they're wrong. Families sometimes aren't they?
So,
Because it's a Benjamin family, don't say something bad about my family.
So this is not a town like Wausau where there's a bunch of different cultures and different backgrounds. I mean, this is a very tight-knit community, right? Very tribal. Yeah. Well, at what point did the Lord begin blessing Israel? What lesson do we learn from this? So verse 26, this is probably maybe this is like the best verse that we'll look at today. They fasted. I'm sorry, before that, then the Israelites, all the people went up to Bethel, and there they sat weeping before the Lord. They fasted that day and until evening and presented burnt offerings and fellowship offerings to the Lord. Then they asked the Lord, inquired of the Lord. Yeah. So, what did they do that sparked all the blessings?
Humble themselves.
They repented, right? So had they repented of their sins and had an offering before they went into battle, maybe things would have gone differently the first 2 times. Or there wouldn't have been a second and a third time. Maybe they would have won. Yeah. So there's a thought for you. Like the Lord says this is a good thing for you to do, but just because He says it's a good thing for you to do doesn't mean you can just do it in any order you want to, right? Like, no, they should have had an offering to the Lord, and part of me is thinking too, why is the ark sitting in storage, right? It's like you should have maybe, I don't know, should they have brought it out? Should they have worshipped? Should they have said the Lord is going to fight with us? It does seem like the ark is a little bit of an afterthought, kind of like, yeah, we asked God and then we got out of that building and we did what we wanted to do. Pete?
Well, I was just going to say that there's a note in my Bible that says that in verse 27 there, that's the only time that the ark is mentioned in all of the book of Judges.
Yeah. So interesting. The only time in the book of Judges the ark is mentioned. And maybe, can we say this is more of a, this is the biggest battle in Judges? No. I think we can say we're happy that they went back to the ark. And at least that was a positive. If they didn't repent like they should have first half. Bottom note there says the clash between the Benjamites and the rest of Israel escalated into a civil war. The Lord used this war to chasten both the Benjamites and the rest of the tribes. So, all the way back in Genesis 49, verse 27, Jacob said Benjamin would be a ravenous wolf. Genesis 49:27, and gosh, I always kind of liked Benjamin, but his ancestors just really were the bigger problem spot of the tribes of Israel, and I don't know. They had the smallest little area of land, so I just think they had a chip on their shoulder personally. But it was kind of a important piece of land, a lot of trading, a lot of commerce. Maybe they were just so likely to be influenced by their neighbors in some respects.
Just hours ago,
Last thoughts? We're getting really close. We'll turn over 21 to Pastor Monkey next week. Victor will probably be observing. Also, I'll get some books printed up for Ephesians, so you can take a deep breath, get out of Judges and Old Testament battles, and spend some time in the New Testament with Ephesians.
Happy
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Wayne.
Hall of Famer.
Happy birthday to you. Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, all creatures here below. Praise Him above ye heavenly hosts. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Amen.